today we're presenting McBurgers to you. We're Team G4. Here is a brief insight into the consumer demographics, specifically regarding to age and gender. So the average consumer's age is 32.6, so somewhere between 32 and 33 years old. Surprisingly, there are more females shop at McBurgers than males. So here is a snapshot of income level and salad purchase. So average household income is around 51.74 thousand USD, so somewhere between $51,000 and $52,000 per year. And 62.9% of consumers who shop at McBurgers have purchased salads. And here's some insight into the data. So surprisingly, there is no significant difference between total number of items purchased between tech-engaged and non-tech engaged consumers. However, there is a difference between the salad purchasing behaviors. So the data has shown that tech-engaged consumers purchase more salads than non-tech-engaged consumers. And generally speaking, consumers who purchase salads come from higher income households.
Question B asked us to provide recommendations for the two programs that the CMO wanted to look into: Try Our Salads, which was targeted at customers who have not purchased recently or purchased a salad recently, and then Eat More Salads being the second one, which is targeted at increasing the frequency with those that already have purchased previously. And so in order to get to this, we ran stepwise and then linear regression, which you can see the output here. Overall R squared of 0.12, not the highest that we've ever worked with, but definitely some good pieces underneath that we can use moving forward to get a little more specific in our demographic targeting. One being clerks as a profession really stood out as those, for the most part, having a less likelihood of purchasing a salad previously. And then on the other end, students being a little more likely to have purchased. So as we look at first Try Our Salads, definitely a net benefit of targeting the clerks. There were 74 who had not ever purchased a salad, or at least within the data set we're looking at, and then 37 who had, along with a pretty generous assumption of 100% redemption rate, come out to about a little over $3.50 of profit generated per targeted individual. So the positives of really, just since the clerks in general haven't bought a lot, and capitalizing on the benefit there really outweighs the downside of bringing along some who have already purchased before, where you're really just subsidizing their sales. And then looking at the Eat More Salads, so here we're looking to target those that are or have purchased salads more recently. And so we can see that the engineers and the students really standing out as having high ratios of those who have purchased a salad. Keep in mind the students was statistically significant, so that would probably be what we want to lead with. However, when looking at it from a kind of that profit per user, engineers as a pretty good return on investment.
We're going to look at the predicted sales spend. The model that we've used, first, we have used the model to clean the data. A lot of the values were not in 0 and 1, so we made that into replace the missing values. Along with that, we also made indicator variables for anything that was to do with customer demographic, including gender, profession, and whether they're tech engaged. Next, we ran a linear regression. We're looking at salad spend as a dependent variable. And along with that, what we've done is running the linear regression stepwise while maximizing our R-square. And we'll also look at the output and the insights from this regression model. Moving on, the main insights we get about predicted sales spend is that the average predicted sales spend is around $5. It's a little more than that. We've taken the predicted values from the jump regression model. And next, we've also seen the MAPE. We could not calculate the MAPE for the consumers who were not spending earlier on salads, which was around $0. So looking at only the validation set for the ones who are spending on salads, we see that the MAPE is 40.55. So 41% would be the errors in predictions. Next, for demographics, we see that the highest spend is from the engineer profession. It's got the highest coefficient as well, as you can see in the jump data in the appendix. Along with that, even the male gender and tech engaged seem to have the highest spend when it comes to salad spends. Along with that, we've also understood that there is a negative coefficient for salad spends compared to number of children. So if the number of children increases by 1, we see a negative $0.3, which would decrease in salad spend. Also, we've seen the lowest spend for the clerk's profession, the female gender, as well as the not tech engaged customer demographic. We have also seen the customer value insights. We have taken out customer value by multiplying average item price into average basket size and then average profit percentage. We've not taken all values since we couldn't show it here. We've taken the first 5 and the last 3. Here we can see the actual salad spend as given in the data. We've also used our predicted salad spend from our regression model. Along with that, we've also calculated the customer value for each customer.
So my name's Anthony George, and I'll be covering question D, which asks us to cluster the customer segments and identify segments that we should continue to approach and market to for future growth in the salads. So when we did our clustering analysis via JUMP, you could see the output above, and just right off the bat, looking at 5 segments is probably too much for this data set. It'd probably be better off doing 3. There's some redundancy, as you can see there with the lines right at the top. 1 and 4 pretty much track each other the entire time, and the same with 2 and 3. But that being said, going ahead with 5 groups, we came up with the 5 listed below. So group 1 is your young professionals, the cost conscious, and they're the longer term residents in the area. Your long-term residents with nostalgia, they're kind of the higher income, high item costs and high number of items, but low number of children and very infrequent customers. Number 3 is your low profit daily customer, not necessarily daily customer. The mean for that was 30 days, but they're a very low profit segment and they're a repeat customer. So they're going to continue to come regardless, and they're low spend on salad. And then we have the recently moved family. They average about 4 kids per their mean, and they're cost conscious with the low item cost and high basket. And then finally was your professional family, group 5, which had a lot of kids, high income, high average price, and high basket size. So here you can see our output from the cluster means in those 5 groups. And again, we have them listed here, and kind of going further into that analysis. Those young professionals that we identified, they have the 2nd highest spend on salads and the 3rd highest basket size compared to the other clusters. However, as you can see with the column of weeks since customer, they're pretty infrequent. They're 57 weeks since they last came, which is the 2nd longest. And then you can see the other outputs, but also focusing down on the recently moved, those cost-conscious newly arrived residents, group number 4. You can see they're already the highest salad spend. More than likely, they're more concerned about the health-conscious aspects, but also looking to get something done as they're a recent move to the area, and they have about 3 kids is the mean. So going forward, we suggested that we kind of focus on those young professionals as well as the recently moved families. The recently moved families, it's really just to increase their returns so that they're not coming every 59 weeks as a mean, so that they're coming more often because they're already purchasing a lot of salads. So it's an easy consumer segment to continue to grow and get more people through the door from that. The next segment was young professionals. We decided to focus on those. They're cost conscious and high income with a low number of children. And so we figured that they would be the next best. They're already spending a large amount on salads compared to the mean. And so that's why we focused on young professionals and recently moved families to focus on for our growth aspects in the salad industry. With all that being said, I'll be followed by the next member of the group to further discuss the questions.
Question E wants us to examine whether there is seasonality or trend in this data. First thing here is to even consider whether the date or the day that this transaction occurs, whether it is a statistically significant predictor of sales of salad. Turns out that date or whatever day it was not even significant. Also, if you should plot a graph of the amount of salad sold along these days, and you examine by day of the week, the month, or even the quarter, there is no distinct pattern. And this suggests that there is no evidence of seasonality across this data set. However, if you look at the graph on the deck, there is a slightly upward trend as the day increases. So this shows that there is a little trend, however, not so significant. Question F wants us to develop a model for forecasting aggregate sales 60 days out. And looking at this, what we have done is to look at 3 different options. One is to look at the regression model without lag sales, then look at a regression model with lagged sales for 60 days. And the other third point is to look at the moving average as a predictor of sales. And in each of these 3 options, we have then considered which of them give us the lowest mean absolute percentage error. That is, how close is it to forecasting the accurate sales? Turns out that the regression model with lagged sales gave us the lowest MAPE of 20.38%. Therefore, we have extracted a model predicting the sales using regression model with lagged sales. And these are the coefficients here. And for this 60-year date, it will be 222.553. And for the gas price, due to impression, all those can be determined based on what is prevailed as at that day. And we can use the 60 days lagged, the actual sales for 60 days lagged up to that particular date we are predicting for. Thank you.